a very, very, very warm welcome to our 2006 ENVS graduates. And a warm welcome to all of their loved ones. My name is Mindy Schneider, and I have the immense pleasure of teaching and mentoring these wonderful students in IBIS, which is also known as the Institute at Brown for Environment and Society. And I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies in Environmental Sciences and Studies, or ENVS or ENVIS. We have a lot of acronyms around here. Just want to get those straight. Today is all about honoring our graduates, celebrating their accomplishments, recognizing their deep engagement over the past 4 years or more, and marking their passage into new eras of their lives. Today is truly a milestone. Graduates, you've been celebrating a lot in the past few days, from cocktail parties to big collective pronouncements on a rainy Main Green, to parades held in your honor and in the rain, to your own parties and time spent with friends before you head off in new directions. It's an honor to be with you on this final formal celebration of your commencement weekend. And in this much more intimate setting, where just about every other graduate sitting around you, and just about every faculty and staff member gathered here to see you off, knows you, believes in you, and is rooting for you. There's an immense amount of pride in this room for all you've accomplished, moved through, and contributed in your time at Brown and in ENVS. Our department ceremony is also the celebration where your loved ones get to see you walk across the proverbial stage and become a Brown graduate. The family and friends who've supported you, sometimes sacrificed for you, struggled with you, felt joy with you, and loved you are steady companions on your journey to this moment. So let's have a big round of applause for the family, friends, and supporters of our graduates. Thank you for these amazing people. It's now my pleasure to introduce Professor Kim Cobb, the Lawrence and Barbara Margulis Director of the Institute at Brown for Environment and Society, Professor in the Department of Earth, Environmental, and Planetary Sciences, and Professor in Environment and Society.
Thank you so much, Professor Schneider. I am thrilled to celebrate this occasion with all of you students, along with your families, friends, and my colleagues. Congratulations, graduates. What a day. What a final act of resilience, if you will, you've demonstrated through the rain. But more than anything today, what I've seen is joy. I've seen radiance. I've seen love. And I've seen our community stronger than ever. So kudos for that. And in some way, that's just a little bit perfect, what's been on display today here at Brown. And in some ways, it must be what a Gen X sage was thinking when she sung, "It's like rain on commencement day." Okay, forgive me for that. On a more serious note, it must surely be the kind of feeling that poet Jane Hirshfield meant to evoke when she wrote, "Old shoes, old roads, the questions keep being new ones, like two negative numbers multiplied by rain into oranges and olives." I'm very proud and honored to serve as IBIS Director, as we call it, which has served as the home for ENVS since its founding in 2014. But as you know, the ENVS program dates back long before the beginning of IBIS, hearkening back 50 years as one of the very oldest, and I happen to think the best, interdisciplinary program in the country focused on climate sustainability and the environment. Today, students, you truly stand on the shoulders of giants who came before you by the hundreds. And as faculty, we are honored to help steward that legacy, along with the vast network of alumni whose ranks you join today. Parents and loved ones, today you'll get a glimpse of what makes ENVS so special. But more than any academic community I've ever been a part of, what makes ENVS truly special is, you guessed it, the ENVS students. For you are a force of nature, individually and collectively. And I can see some parents nodding along about that force of nature. You inspire all of us with your tremendous achievements, your care for one another, and your insistence, sometimes quiet, sometimes loud, but always respectful, that the status quo is but a work in progress. Through your scholarship, your engagement, and the power of your example, you have already transformed the world around you. And we can't wait to see what challenges you set your sights on next and what beauty and meaning you create in the journey ahead. Please know that you will take a part of us with you when you leave. Wherever you go, we will be there, cheering you on, reminding you of what you are capable of, ever eager for news and updates. And please know that we will always be your home away from home, ready with a hot cup of organic, fair trade, carbon neutral tea. So on behalf of the entire community of faculty, staff, students, and alumni IBIS, congratulations to the ENVS class of 2026. May your big dreams be multiplied by rain into oranges and olives. Before moving on to the next part of the program, I just wanted to give some well-deserved thanks to a few people who make today possible, who foster student success and well-being in so many ways across our program. And the first of those people is our amazing academic program manager, Jean Lowenstein. Jean, stand up. There's a lot of love focused on that one person right now with very good reason. And the next person is Nelsie Reyes. Nelsie, please stand up. They work behind the scenes in their offices, one-on-one, in a programmatic way to make it all possible. So that's truly a gift to all of us. I also want to thank corporation member Sam Menkoff for joining us today. Sam, if you would. Help us preside over the event, makes it very official. So thank you for being here, Sam. And I also want to end by recognizing two cherished IBIS faculty members who are celebrating their last commencement ceremony with us here today. I know. Kurt Teichert, who is not here, but he's here in spirit because he usually is always here, is a teaching professor who has been teaching environmental studies and science at Brown for over 20 years. And Timmons Roberts, who is here, Timmons, if you would stand, joined Brown. Timmons joined Brown in 2009 as the Idelson Professor of Environment and Society and Sociology. Thank you for your dedication to generations of truly lucky Brown students who soaked up your enthusiasm, your creativity, and your passion for the work of shaping a better world. Thank you so much. And now, I'll turn it back over to Professor Schneider to continue.
Okay, so in our field, we take on really difficult problems, from climate change to species extinction to the uneven distribution of environmental goods and bads across people and places. We don't look away from crises, we dive in. We work to deeply understand the forces and histories that produce our most pressing problems in environment and society, to learn from those problems and to solve them. Staying in the room with such momentous challenges isn't always easy, intellectually or emotionally. In ENVS, we don't shy away from that difficulty either. Through our broad curriculum, our specialized course offerings, our co-curricular and community building activities, and our advising and mentorship, we aspire to teach students not only about the nuts and bolts of socioeconomic problems and solutions, but also about where to find the hope and inspiration and agency. As faculty and students, our commitment to the exchange of ideas, of views, and of forms of knowledge is part of what makes ENVS such an intellectually exciting concentration and such a caring and generous community of co-learners who want to make the world a better place. These sentiments come through really strongly in the words of our two senior speakers for today. First, we're going to hear from Emma Blankstein, Brown class of 26.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I want to welcome Professor Schneider and Professor Cobb. I want to welcome all of our professors, including those who are at department ceremonies scattered across campus. Your wisdom and care have had an indelible impact. I want to welcome our families and friends who have traveled from all corners of the country and from across oceans to be here with us today. Thank you for loving us and nurturing us. I want to welcome the class of 2026 Environmental Sciences and Studies graduates. A cohort of truly incredible scholars and learners of artists, organizers, and friends that I am so honored and humbled to be a part of. I want to welcome the communities that we've connected with in Providence and beyond. And I want to welcome the community we've built with each other. The beautiful invisible webs that bind each of us in this room together that have allowed us to hold each other through the past 4 years. I want to welcome the totality of the learning we've done, the epiphanies, the subtle and profound mindset shifts, and the connections drawn. And I want to welcome our grief. For the people who are not physically here with us today, but whose presence we feel especially strongly on a momentous day like this one. For Mohammed Aziz and Ella. For the people and places we love, the ways of life that we hold dear, that are under profound threat or are already gone as a result of the climate crisis. For those impacted by the escalation of violence at the hands of our government in the form of ICE terror and imperialist wars. We are experiencing what Kim Talbert refers to as the sharpening of the already present. Our current reality is the culmination of centuries of violence, mismanagement, dispossession, and disconnection. In the brutal darkness, we can see things as they truly are. Rarely does fear and repression like this touch an institution like Brown, and yet we are currently experiencing it in the form of grant cancellations and the erasure from public life of language like climate change, environmental justice, and equity that is fundamental to the work that we do here in environmental sciences and studies. We have the opportunity to stare these systems in the face, to not look away even when the intensity of the moment or the intensity of these years subsides. Because even in the darkness, in the words of Leonard Cohen, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. But you can't find the cracks if you aren't looking for them. When I first came to Brown, I felt the weight of the climate crisis on my chest every single day, and I didn't know how to cope. I thought I had 3 choices: blind hope, nihilism, or extreme compartmentalization, which to me meant doing climate work but not really thinking about its implications on a deeper level every day. But through my time with all of you, I have realized none of these are helpful options. This is a false choice set up to paralyze us because no matter what, there is no easy way out. But the way through is to dwell in the complexity, to reject the assumptions handed to us, to think creatively and capaciously, and to create alternative ways of thinking and doing, alternatives like land trusts, community power sharing agreements, or even benches at bus stops that make public transit a little more accessible. In the face of such profound injustice, these alternatives can feel woefully inadequate. And they are. But they are also whole worlds. They can create transformative change that impacts people's lived experiences and futures, even as they are messy, complex, contradictory, and operating within larger worlds that constrain them. We have built communities here at Brown and beyond that we can lean on as we tackle these wicked problems of the climate crisis, racial capitalism, and settler colonialism. Let us use them. Let us continue to hold each other as we have these past 4 years, even as we span geographic distance. Let our joy fortify us, and our collective creativity, care, and resilience inspire us. Let us stand firm in a shared commitment to living our lives in struggle. And let us keep looking for the cracks, because we may just crack open the world. Thank you so much, everyone, and congratulations.
And next we'll hear from Cole Francis, Brown class of 26.
Good afternoon, family, friends, faculty, and staff, and thank you all for joining us on this rainy yet very momentous occasion. As we prepare to leave Brown and our lives as undergraduates, we're all thinking about what comes next and what it means to make it. Making it after Brown looks different for all of us. For some, it may look like a high-paying salary with a large bonus come Q4. For others, it may look like saving an animal species from extinction. For all of us, I know there are a few through lines from the teachings here that I hope we carry with us as Brown graduates. Firstly, understanding the environment means understanding the relationships between people and the natural world. If we were not a part of the environment and nature, how could we have benefited this long from the fruits of its offerings? Our food systems, economies, and daily lives all depend on our relationships with the earth. One of my newfound favorite books, Braiding Sweetgrass, was assigned in a course called Religion Gone Wild. Robin Wall Kimmerer blends indigenous wisdom and scientific knowledge through the Potawatomi legend of the Sky Woman and the gifts she bears onto the earth. There's a short passage that spoke to me about the meaning of land. In the settler mind, land was property, real estate, capital, or natural resources. But to our people, it was everything. Identity, the connection to our ancestors, the home of our non-human kinfolk, our pharmacy, our library, the source of all that sustained us. Our lands were where our responsibility to the world was enacted, sacred ground. It belonged to itself. It was a gift, not a commodity, so it could not be bought or sold. Remember this when someone tells you that the earth doesn't deserve our attention. Subsequently, this diversity of thought led us in all different directions across the open curriculum. At Brown, I've met students that want to study the impact of AI on energy and others that want to make buildings eco-friendly. We, all of us in this room today, are in a unique position to help shape a more sustainable future for ourselves and for generations to come. The economy and corporate world have defined our relationship to the earth as transactional. I believe we're equipped to change that narrative. Gen Z is entering our early careers at a time of corporatized net zero commitments, an oil crisis, and the threat of automation taking away much of the opportunities we've worked for. With student activists on our campus fighting for fossil fuel divestment, we must be aware of these realities and be diligent in working towards a better future. We should be able to learn through trial and error, much like the Planetary Sciences Labs, where we identified the origins of rocks and sediment, committed to the second, third, and fourth attempt, and unafraid to do it together. To the more established adults in this room, we're bringing what we've learned here and we're asking you to meet us there. Celebrate questions, welcome them, and hear us out. The real world is the next lab, the next conference section. The stakes are higher, and we're asking you to let us learn in the same way. Kimmer leaves us with a question that I keep coming back to. What else can you offer the earth, which has everything? What else can you give but something of yourself? So what do we offer back? As Brown students, we exist across an immense spectrum of influence, with alumni who have worked in the US Department of Energy and others who direct environmental law and policy across the Midwest. As a certain wise uncle once said, with great power comes great responsibility. How do we avoid greenwashing and trust science when others don't? There's a massive responsibility ahead of us, but I haven't met a group of graduates more equipped to handle what's ahead. My promise to the Earth is to remember that humans are a part of the climate story and to act locally before trying to change systems at scale. On behalf of the graduates, thank you to our families for supporting us through this journey, for helping us get here, for the late night calls about our existential ideas, and for trusting us with an education this important. Thank you to the faculty who took our education, research, and knowledge seriously and expected us to do the same. You are all an integral part of our environment. Not only do we love the Earth loves us back. Congratulations to the Environmental Sciences and Studies class of 2026.
We have amazing students. All right. Each year, we award prizes to recognize excellence in student research. We have a couple of categories of prizes that we'll give. The first is the Harold Ward Memorial Prize. This prize is named in honor of Professor Harold Ward and recognizes an ENVS senior whose community-engaged scholarship contributes to a more equitable and sustainable world. My colleague Leslie Acton, Associate Teaching Professor in Environment Society, will present this year's prize.
Good afternoon. It is my honor to present the winner of this year's Harold Ward Prize, who has partnered with the Breathe Providence Racial and Environmental Justice Committee Resident Task Force to complete her engaged honors thesis. Her research and products highlight inequities in hazards exposure across schools in Providence, as well as differences in ways the community members and the government conceptualize risk. Her work has contributed to the global EJ Atlas and will be used by the resident task force to influence legislation and planning related to school hazards exposure in Providence. This year's winner of the Harold Ward Prize for Community Engaged Scholarship is Emma Blankstein for her thesis entitled, "Let's Not Wait for Our Children to Get Sick, Mapping Community and State Understanding of Schools Built on Hazardous Sites in Providence." Congratulations, Emma. Oh, and her project was advised by Professor Meredith Hastings. Thank you.
The IBIS Distinguished Senior Thesis Prizes recognize exceptional research, scholarship, and writing in a year-long senior honors thesis project. This year, we're presenting two prizes, one in recognition of work in STEM and one in social sciences and humanities. And my colleague Dove Sachs, Professor of Environment and Society and Professor of Ecology, Evolution, and Organismal Biology will present the Distinguished Senior Thesis Prizes.
Hi there. The Distinguished Thesis STEM Prize goes to a student who coordinated the efforts of high school volunteers who collected water samples from across the Providence watershed. She analyzed differences in the ratio of oxygen isotopes from these samples so as to better understand how the different sources of water inputs and outputs flow through this system. This detailed spatial and temporal data set can be used to better parameterize flooding risks in the region in the context of climate change and future storm events. This year's winner of the IBIS Distinguished Senior Thesis Prize in STEM is Samantha Levin. Her thesis was entitled Water Isotope Constraints on Rhode Island Hydrological Dynamics in Extremes, a community science approach. Her project was advised by Professor Kim Cobb. The Distinguished Thesis Prize in the Social Sciences and Humanities recognizes a student whose research tells the story of how a coalition of land-related associations in California defeated wildfire avoidance measures following the 2018 Camp Fire. Through a careful case study of lobbying records, legislative debate, and stakeholder interviews, the thesis argues that special interest-dominated politics are incompatible with equitable climate adaptation. The thesis contributes to a growing literature on the politics of climate adaptation obstruction. This year's winner of the IBIS Distinguished Senior Thesis Prize in Social Sciences and Humanities is Caitlin Carpenter. Her thesis was titled Facing Realty, Land-Related Industry Influence and Ex-Urban Growth in California's Wildland-Urban Interface. The project was advised by Professor Timmons Roberts.
Okay, we are now going to hear a few words from our dear colleague and mentor to many in this room, Timmons Roberts. Timmons is the Idelson Professor of Environmental Studies, Professor of Environment and Society, and Professor of Sociology.
I can't believe they gave me the microphone, frankly. A million years ago, as a new professor, I was on an airplane when I started chatting with a complete stranger in the seat next to me. That occasionally still happens, doesn't it? He was a second grade teacher somewhere in Iowa who led his classes in planning, writing, and performing operas. Operas, as in plot, text, costumes, music, acting, singing, props, sets, tickets, seatings, all the lights, all that. Besides including all the skills he wished his students to develop, he described how just doing something for an external audience made everything more consequential. And faced with that, the kids worked together to make a production that was far better than anything they would have done alone for a class assignment. I never saw him again, but he changed my life. I started doing class projects like back when I was a sociology professor, random phone surveys in social science methods classes that we would collectively plan and write and turn into briefing papers and journal articles. We sent them to reporters, and sometimes they actually got in the news. I've always wanted to share with my students my joy of research, especially research that matters, and getting it to people who can do something with it. Brown's been the perfect place to do that, and I'm so lucky to have landed here. You can see today the amazing students we get to work with. The students in environmental studies and at Brown in general, I tell everyone they want to save the world. You've heard that already too. They don't want to wait to graduate or climb through decades on a career ladder to do that. They want to change the world now. After I had been attending the United Nations climate change negotiations for years by myself, I wanted to share with students what I'd learned and the connections that I'd made. So I started bringing them. For a few years, students in my climate and development lab would ask for funding from deans and directors all across the university until IBIS started funding the whole trip. I think the deans and directors just got sick of hearing, like, can you give me $800 for an airplane ticket to Morocco? Former IBIS director Dove Sachs had the idea to make those trips part of my teaching. And so with funding secured, we were able to actually focus on our contributions, not just how to get there. And that was magic. That was fantastic. Like the second grade opera, we did team-based research projects and presented the outputs to negotiators and NGOs, UN agencies, and journalists. The students we embedded in with these organizations as well. After watching the Paris Agreement being negotiated for years and signed in 2015, we watched our current president withdraw the United States from the agreement in 2017. So we stopped going. I started taking the students to Washington, D.C. instead. I wanted to understand, and I wanted us to help the country understand why the U.S. is so problematic on this crucial social issue of climate change. We've worked on lobbying climate legislation there and at the national level, at state capitals, opposition to clean energy, all kinds of projects like that. At every turn, the students dove into the projects. Sometimes I wondered how they even passed their other classes. Can you guys explain that to me? I think there's so much capacity in universities that could be turned to public good, and the good it would do for education for having to produce these outputs from our young people. But we have to trust the students to do good work, to make us proud. These students really have. They continue to. People in these key audiences appreciate their contributions. And if they don't, maybe they just smile and nod. But I think mostly they really do appreciate these contributions. And some of them actually want to hire them. I'm also a parent. My kid's graduating from architecture school in 4 days, so I'm right with you guys in what's going on. Graduation is as much for the parents as for the kids. You should be so proud. And as young people, you should be so grateful. I'm really nice to hear that, how they got you here. A couple of weeks ago, an opinion piece in the New York Times by Yale professor Samuel Moyn described how old people, and I include myself in that in relative terms, have too much of the money, the work, the housing, and the power in American society. And young people have too little of each of these. He described how it's crucial for saving our society and our democracy to level this playing field, to let go of what we older folks are hoarding. He focused especially on housing and jobs, but I also want to emphasize power. These young people can make this world better if we would just get out of the way and help them. Let's build the world they want. It's theirs now. We'll all be better off. Young people look ahead to a scary future. We've not done, us older people, what we needed to secure a safe future for them. The issue I've devoted most of my life to this destabilization of our climate system is a prime example. Temperatures and sea levels are rising. The oceans are growing acidic. Wildfires smoke up our skies, and heat waves threaten human health. This is happening now, but it's going to get a lot worse if we don't make profound changes. Young people know this. Their ideas sometimes sound radical, but our incrementalism is failing. I would say what's radical is not taking drastic steps. We have the science, we have the technology, and we have the policy tools to solve this problem. We need to overcome those who are blocking this action, and they're doing that to benefit themselves in the short term. Doing that, though, is a very political effort, and it's going to take all of us with all our varied skills, like a good opera. We old farts have failed to pull that opera together. It's going to have to be a second-grade opera. I want to thank my colleagues. They're wonderful in IBIS. It's such an amazing community, and at Brown for these 17 fulfilling years here, working together to make something special. All those meetings, my God. While I can be a thorn in the side of the administration, it's because I'm profoundly loyal to Brown, and I just want to make it the best I can. It can be. So when your children who now today are graduates of Brown University in about 5 minutes, when they're pushing you and society we live in for unreasonable things, please listen and help. We need their ideas, their energy, their vision, and their impatience. Grads, welcome to the ranks of Brown alumni. Oops, maybe I wasn't supposed to welcome them yet. We're holding off. And former students, we need you, and we're here to work with you to make the second grade opera together. All the best and congratulations.
All right, we've arrived at probably the most exciting, I was gonna say important, but it's all important, the most exciting part of our ceremony, when you're about to receive your degrees in environmental sciences and studies. No longer undergraduate students, you are now credentialed professionals in one of the most consequential fields for our world today. Brown Chancellor Emeritus Samuel Menkoff is joining us. I'll invite you up here. Chancellor Menkoff is widely recognized for his leadership in higher education, healthcare, philanthropy, and the arts. He's going to help us confer diplomas today. He was born and raised in Providence and an ever-true Brown supporter. Menkoff has served in numerous leadership roles across the university, including as corporation member. His thoughtful leadership, steady guidance, and enduring commitment to Brown have helped shape the university for generations of students and alumni. Thank you so much for helping us today. We will begin the conferral of degrees with our honors graduates. In the ENVS program, honors are conferred to students who earn a majority of A's in their coursework and who complete a one-year honors thesis under the direction of an IBIS or an IBIS-affiliated faculty member. This year, 11 students are graduating with honors, so will the 11 of you please gather here at the front, and we will get you your degrees. Okay, first we have Marcella Elena Johnson. Marcella is graduating with honors, earning an AB in Environmental Sciences and Studies and an AB in Anthropology. Her thesis titled A Resiliency Paradox, Social Capital in Coastal Maine's Response to the January Storms of 2024 was advised by Professor Leslie Acton. Ashley McKinnon. Ashley is graduating with honors, earning an SCB in Sustainable Development and Governance. Her thesis titled Navigating Uncharted Waters, Lessons from WHOI's Loch Ness Ocean Alkalinity Enhancement Field Trial for the Future of Fishermen Engagement in MCDR, amazing, was advised by Professor Leslie Acton. Caitlin Carpenter. Caitlin is graduating magna cum laude with honors, earning an SCB in Environment and Inequality, Food, Water, and Energy, and an AB in Urban Studies. Her thesis titled Facing Reality, Land-Related Industry Influence and Exurban Growth in California's Wildland-Urban Interface, also amazing, was advised by Professor Timmons Roberts. Fanny Vavrosky. Fanny is graduating with honors, earning an AB in Environmental Sciences and Studies and an AB in International and Public Affairs, focusing on policy and governance. Their thesis titled Obstructing and Negotiating in the Dark, ? Patterns of Opposition and Visibility in UN Climate Negotiations from 1995 to 2024 was advised by Professor Timmons Roberts. Samantha Levin. Samantha is graduating magna cum laude with honors, earning an SCB in Conservation Science and Natural Systems. Her thesis titled Water Isotope Constraints on Rhode Island Hydrologic Dynamics and Extremes, a Community Science Approach, was advised by Professor Kim Cobb. Emma Blankstein. Emma is graduating magna cum laude with honors, earning an SCB in Climate and Energy and an AB in History. Her thesis titled, Let's Not Wait for Our Children to Get Sick, Mapping Community and State Understandings of Schools Built on Hazardous... What's the last words? Sites in Providence, Rhode Island. Was advised by Professor Meredith Hastings. Pacha Champracone. Pacha is graduating with honors, earning an SCB in Sustainable Development and Governance and an AB in International and Public Affairs focusing on development. Her thesis titled From Carbon Leakage to Carbon Colonialism, the European Union's Carbon Border, the European Union's carbon border adjustment mechanism and the reproduction of global climate inequality, was advised by Professor Jennifer Haddon. Carlota Gessler. Carlota is graduating with honors, earning an SCB in Conservation Science and Natural Systems and an AB in Urban Studies. Her thesis titled, "Is Traffic Exposure Inequitably Distributed Across Providence Parks?" An exploration of the spatial distribution of traffic pollution inequities in Providence Parks, was advised by Professor Scott Frickel. Abigail Grove. Abigail is graduating with honors, earning an SCB in Conservation Science and Policy. Her thesis titled, "Investigating Phylogenetic Signal of Leaf Functional Traits in Yellowstone National Park," was advised by Professor Tyler Cartzenell. Lola Maldonado. Lola is graduating with honors, earning an SCB in Environmental Justice and Health. Her thesis titled, "Inversion Pollution and Preterm Birth Outcomes, Characterizing Critical Exposure Thresholds Using Distributed Lag Modeling." Is that correct? Great. Was advised by Professor Erica Walker. Olivia Marie Tingley Kelly. Olivia is graduating with honors, earning an AB in Environmental Sciences and Studies and an AB in Economics, focusing on business economics. Her thesis titled, "Estimating the Effects of Within-School Greenness on Educational Outcomes in the Philadelphia School District, an Analysis of Parcel-Level Normalized Difference Vegetation Index," otherwise known as NDVI, in relation to standardized test scores, attendance, and behavior from 2010 to 2024. Well done. Was advised by Professor Matthew Kraft. So all of our graduates earn a degree in environmental sciences and studies, and within our degree, students have the option to further specialize on curricular tracks. We currently offer 5 degree options for students, and we'll confer the rest of the degrees by those groups. So our first groups of graduates have earned an AB in environmental sciences and studies, and this is a degree path that offers a holistic and a truly interdisciplinary understanding of environment and society relations and issues. I'd like to invite our AB graduates to gather here at the front to receive your degrees. And my colleague, Professor Stephen Porter, the Acacia Professor of Ecology, Evolution, and Organismal Biology, and Professor of Environment Society, will present these graduates.
I remembered my reading glasses this year, so just give me 1 second. Our first graduate receiving an AB in Environmental Studies and Sciences is Jade Arroyo. Jade is graduating with an AB in Environmental Sciences and Studies. There is no thesis to read, right? Okay, good. Okay. Congratulations. Our next student is Cole Omar Francis. Congratulations. I have to read. Oh, I have to read that? I'm sorry. Cole is graduating with an AB in Environmental Studies and Sciences and an AB in Economics. Sorry about that. We have special guests for the next student, Robert Pratt Guttural. Robert is graduating with an AB in Environmental Sciences and Studies and an AB in Economics. Congratulations. Next, Sylvia Lucia Larkin. Sylvia is graduating with an AB in Environmental Sciences and Studies, and an AB in Sociology, focusing on organizational studies. Congratulations. Julia Pedersoli Leme. Julia is graduating with an AB in Environmental Sciences and Studies and an AB in International and Public Affairs, focusing on development. Congratulations. Marcello Calamandre Rudovsky. Congratulations, Marcello. Marcello is graduating with an AB in Environmental Sciences and Studies and an AB in History. We don't have another name here.
It's raining today. I can read these.
Please read Leo.
Leo Worthington, Leo Mars Worthington. Leo is graduating with an AB in Environmental Sciences and Studies and an AB in History. Sorry, Leo, we love you. Okay, our next group of graduates have earned degrees that focus on land and water systems, climate change science and policy, and environmental justice and public health. They've completed specialized training in courses such as climate modeling, environmental engineering, climate policy research, the geopolitics of oil and energy, race, class, and gender inequality, and public health policy. I will now invite our ACE, CLE, and EJH graduates to gather at the front to receive your degrees. And Professor Seda Shalap Aicha, Assistant Professor of the Practice of Environment and Society and Assistant Professor of the Practice in Earth, Environmental, and Planetary Sciences, will present these graduates.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our first student is Chujir Sun, and Chujir is graduating with a SCB in Climate, Air, and Energy, and an AB in Economics, and on Economic Professional track. Congratulations. Our second student is Carmen Silva. Carmen is graduating with an SCB in Climate and Energy, an AB in International and Public Affairs, focusing on policy and governance. Congratulations. Our last but not least student in this track is Morgan Lokenatz. Morgan is graduating with an SCB in Environmental Justice and Health.
Okay, graduates in our next group have earned degrees in ecological and conservation sciences with specialized training in areas including conservation biology, terrestrial biogeochemistry, plant diversity, ocean resilience, and politics and nature. So I'll now invite our conservation science and policy and our conservation science and natural systems graduates to gather at the front to receive your degrees. And Professor Don King, Deputy Dean of the College for Curriculum and Teaching Professor in Environment and Society, will present these graduates.
I have to
it up on my, can I pull it? Well, I can hold it. There we go. Maybe. Close enough. Sophia Felice Casalo. Sophia is graduating with an SCB in Conservation Science and Natural Systems. Congratulations. Ian Scott Oswald. Ian is graduating with an SCB in Conservation Science and Policy. Olivia Rodriguez. Olivia is graduating with an SCB in Conservation Science and Natural Systems. Maya Helen Wawani. Maya is graduating with an SCB in Conservation Science and Policy. Congrats.
Okay, our final group of graduates have focused on the interplay between environmental governance and economics on the global stage. Their degrees include specialized courses in areas like global governance and development, the politics of climate change, environmental economics, and finance in the environment. I will now invite our Sustainability in Development and our Sustainable Development and Governance graduates to gather at the front, and Professor Timmons Roberts will present these graduates.
Margot Molly Donahue. Stay right up there. Margot is graduating with an AB in Sustainability and Development and an AB in International and Public Affairs, focusing on development. Congratulations. Noah Hallward Ruff. Noah's graduating with an SCB in Sustainability and Development. Congratulations. Annabelle Coven. Annabelle is graduating with an SCB in Sustainable Development and Governance. Roland Lawver. Roland is graduating from Brown University with an SCB in Sustainable Development and Governance and in Economics. Danielle Sloan Palin. Danielle will graduate in December, like me, with a SCB in Sustainable Development and Governance. Congratulations. Yun Rose Shen. Rose is graduating magna cum laude with an AB in Sustainability and Development and Studies and an AB in Urban Studies. Congratulations, Rose. Riley Stevenson. Riley's graduating magna cum laude with an SCB in Sustainability and Development. Tessa Genevieve Tompkinson. Tessa's graduating with an SCB in Sustainable Development and Governance. Congratulations.
So this brings us to the end of our ceremony and the formal end of your commencement weekend. Before we close, I'm going to ask everyone in the room to really take a pause and ground into this moment. If you're graduating, take this feeling of accomplishment and joy and being celebrated by a room full of people who've had your back for the last 4 years and longer and who will continue to do so as you leave today. If you're supporting a graduate, remember the pride bursting from your chest right now, probably mixed with a not insignificant amount of disbelief that your baby is wearing a cap and gown and is a freshly minted college graduate. And if you're witnessing another class of graduates make their way out of your classrooms and labs and offices and the UEL and into their next big things, let's take a moment to remind ourselves that we have the best jobs in the world. We get to work with and be inspired by students like those in the Brown ENVS class of 2026. So dear graduates, we're rooting for you, we believe in you, and we will miss you dearly. On behalf of everyone, congratulations. Let's hear it for these remarkable people.